This is episode number 482 of the Health and Fitness Podcast by InnerFight, brought to you in association with Smith Street Paleo. Don't forget, hop over to smithstreetpaleo.com and check out what's in store. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys, and massive thanks to every single person that came to listen to my talk. InnerTalks number 17, Thursday the 6th of December. For those of you that didn't, here's the audio file. I really hope you enjoy it, and if you do have any questions, drop me an email, winning@innerfight.com. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you all for coming. I hope you found a comfortable seat or standing position. Also, thanks to everyone tuning in on the Facebook Live. Louder? Today we have quite a special show from a very special man. This will be the 17th edition of the InnerTalks. It's probably the most visited InnerTalks we've ever had. It's about a man who earlier this year was in a near-death experience, a man who recovered quicker than I think most would have ever expected, and a man who later went on to run 30 marathons in 30 days. We're going to watch a little video before Marcus Smith is going to do his talk. Also, massive thanks to the guys from Creative Media for making this whole thing possible.
Thank you, guys. Wow, there's a lot of you. I left here at about 8 o'clock, and I had scheduled for 9 p.m., which many of you know is about an hour and a half past my bedtime, a phone call on Skype. And I think many of you have had this where your whole life might change with a phone call. And as I listened to this guy tell me about ultra cycling, I was just shaking. It was like unbelievable. He'd just ridden his bike the length of South America, and he said to me, "We're organizing ultra cycling races in 2018. I was like, wow. He said each race is around 1,000 kilometers. Oh, this is it. This is like the best thing ever. And he said, for some stupid reason, we want you involved. That's what he said to me. And I was like, oh, that's a bit of a letdown. And I was like, mate, I'm in. He said there's 4 races on 4 continents. One in Oman, one in Taiwan, one in Europe in Corsica, and one in South America. And I was like, wow. Had no idea what ultra cycling was. So I went to see Wolfie. He told me, obviously, I needed a new bike. And I was excited straight away, not about getting the new bike, but about doing this ultra cycling. And I think a lot of people say to me, like, why does it appeal to you? Why do these challenges appeal to you? And I've thought about that a lot. The process involved in these challenges is what excites me. The meeting about the bike, figuring it out. How am I going to stay awake for the time it takes me to cycle 1,000K? These races are non-stop races. You start, I think the first one was due to start at 7 p.m. in the evening. And they do that in ultra. It's quite a messed up sport. We were talking about it the weekend. They start a race at the end of your working week, right at the end of the day. So you're completely fatigued. And then they expect you to do physical exercise for the next 40 hours. It's quite counterintuitive, but we're still quite interested in it. And everything about the process, the kit, the training, the nutrition, the hydration, appealed to me. So we started out on the journey. I hired a coach, a guy called Yanni Brakovic, which he had an incredible record. Worked for Lance Armstrong for a number of years. Think of that, whatever you want. And he took control of my Training Peaks. For those of you that know Training Peaks, workout pops up, you do it. If you do it properly, it goes green. If you don't, it goes red. Or if you do half of it, it goes amber. And it was my commitment that I wouldn't cut any corners. Whatever Yanni told me to do, I would do. First week comes out, 6 hours, Monday. 8 hours, Tuesday. Recovery ride, 5 hours, Wednesday. Bro, I'm trying to run 2 businesses here. I'm going to do it. Yanni's going to help me. I'm going to do it. Way more experience than I've got, and I'm going to learn a lot. This is it. February the 10th, 8 hours, mountains. Yes, the best. Love the mountains. It's something, it's a different dimension to life. Nick, Alistair, and Jack. Nick and Alistair rode Cape Epic together a few times, which those of you that don't know is a mountain bike race, one of the hardest in the world, multi-stage. Alistair lives in Hong Kong. Nick lives here in Dubai. They're together. We're out at Shoka, and they're just trying to rip each other's face off, literally. And me and Jack was also coming with me on the Oman race. We're just at the back, just watching these guys trying to kill each other. Every time the road went up, they'd just try and rip each other to pieces. So we spent a lot of time at the back, which I don't like, but it was how it was on that day. 71 kilometers done in 2 hours in the mountains. That's quite quick. What was then happening is I then took the best seat in the house, right on the front. Good views, mountains, undisrupted, and the guys sat in my slipstream. For those of you who know cycling, one after the other, Wolfie's normally about number 10 because it's easiest there, and the guy at the front is working the hardest. Except in this situation, because we were going downhill, the only reason why I had the best seat in the house was because I was the heaviest. And I don't look like a cyclist, I know. And I had the heaviest bike because I had all my kit on it, which was another insane part of the process, figuring out how I'm going to get 30 to 40 hours worth of food, equipment, repair equipment on the bike. The best thing about this best seat in the house was that I was head down and we could pick up some speed. And I like going fast. 60 k's an hour, 65 k's an hour. Just having a good time. And then suddenly, Jack, who was a professional cyclist for 13 years, knows exactly how to conserve his energy, goes, "Move left!" And it was too late. Because I was front wheel on the front of a truck. The truck turned right into me. I was in the wrong position. He did something wrong, but 50% of it was my fault. And he's all good. He's free. He hit me. And it pushed me to this brick wall that I then hit. Garmin says, it's incredible, got my Garmin back a week later from the police, 54 kilometers an hour. It's strange how the human body reacts. Because it mustn't have been more than a split second, the time when I hit that truck to when I hit that wall 4 meters later. But in that time, I managed to turn my body with the bike and just drop my shoulder into the wall, probably thinking that I was going to win. But I didn't. On the impact, it snapped the wheel, snapped the handlebars, and I'd later find out snapped quite a lot of me. I laid there on the floor. The bike was still attached to me. I was fully conscious. It was a miracle. Head was all good. And I saw the driver coming towards me, shaking, as you would. I won't tell you what I said to him, but it wasn't very nice. By this time, immediately Nick was on my shoulder. Jack had pulled out. Luckily, there was no cars coming down. And he'd sort of come round and back, and Alistair was there. Alistair and Nick are pilots, so they're pretty good at reading manuals. There wasn't a manual that day, so they're pretty good at making things happen. Nick starts tapping me on the shoulder. He says, "Mate, just relax. Don't worry about the guy." And when he said that, blood started coming out of my mouth. I was like, I've only seen this in a movie. It's not real good. Couldn't feel my left side of my body. They'd taken all of the impact. And as must have been maybe 3 or 4 seconds went by, I just thought, I'm in trouble. And I said to I don't know, like, a lot of people say that when you're going to die, your life flashes forward and you think about things that you should have done. And that didn't happen. But I thought to myself, I'm actually really enjoying my life, and I don't want it to end. And I said, what can I do right now that'll make sure it doesn't end? And I thought, breathe. At that point, I couldn't breathe. Blood coming out. I later learned that I'd punctured my left lung, and breathing was incredibly hard. It was opportune, really. You could say we're halfway between Sharjah and Kalba, right in the middle. Couldn't have been any further away from each hospital. Nick was telling me that an ambulance was coming, but I knew where we were, and I knew it was 80k from each. And every breath got harder. As I think the pain started to kick in, you go into obviously a state of shock, the pain gets more. And it was tough. And I thought about a lot of things again, and then I said to myself, just breathe. And I said, if you can clear your mind of all of this stuff and focus on the one thing that's going to keep you alive, it's breathing, just do it. Breath after breath. It took about 2 hours. And I won't bore you with a lot of the detail. The fact that the first ambulance came, it was a police ambulance, and police ambulances don't have oxygen. They turn on the tap and it just went pshh. And the second ambulance that we went into, Nick's scared of needles, so when they're trying to put a cannula in my hand, all I can see is his face going, oh, I'm like, bro, I'm dying here, just chill out. But they get me to Kalba Hospital. And 2 things I want to share with you about Kalba, maybe 3. A guy comes over to me and he said, super nice guy, white coat, slick back hair. He was from Iraq. He said, pain is a terrible thing. I'm like, yeah, bro, I know. He goes, I'm going to make it all stop. I was like, talk to me. And he starts shouting at this nurse to put something in my cannula. He said, if you don't feel better in 30 seconds, tell me. And he stood there and he looked straight into my eyes. I'm on the bed like this. And he said, you don't feel better, do you? And he said, put more in! And he was really aggressive towards this nurse. And that eased the pain a bit. Until I came out of the CT scan. And another super nice guy. He was, I think, a Pakistani guy, very big beard, very nice big stomach, super gentle guy. He said, you have a shattered scapula, multiple rib fractures, and you have a crushed lung. I was like, that sounds good. I said, what do you mean by multiple? He said, there's a lot of them. I don't know how clearly you can see this. But this is my 3rd rib. It was broken here, and then it was broken here as well. Number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7. Luckily, I didn't see this till about 2 months after the crash. And luckily, they kindly removed my scapula, which normally sits here, so that they could see this in more detail, so I didn't have to see what sort of state it was in. And after the anaesthetist instructed everyone to prepare the resuscitation room, and I literally didn't know what was going on. A little while later, I end up in intensive care. And unfortunately, this is how my mom, my sister, Holly, my wife, found me. I'll speak more about them later, but that was tough. I was laid on my back. You can see from this picture, I'm not even straight on the bed. This angle that they put me on, it was incredibly painful. And you're in and out of sleeping with the drugs. And sort of like sleeping and thinking like, why didn't I hit my head? Why did it happen like this? Well, how come I'm here? What if we stopped at a petrol station 15 minutes before, and those 3 jokers didn't want to have a coffee. Now, if they'd have had a coffee, none of this would have happened. Luckily, they're not here. They're not watching either. And all of this stuff was going through my mind. I was like, what if this? What if that? What if the other? And I was just laid there. And I said to myself, you know what? There's no more what ifs. I said, what can you do right now? It's first, second day in ICU, which is an awful place. Don't go there. And my left hand was on my stomach like this. Right hand still texting. It's all good. And my left hand, and I was literally laid in the bed, a bit awkward like this. And I was like, I wonder if I can get that hand, and it's shaking like this, open. And it literally took me a little bit longer than that. So well, if I can do it once, I'm pretty sure I can do it 10 times. Like, obviously 10 times more than one is so easy. And I opened it 10 times, and it took me about 3 minutes. I said, okay, if I can do that every hour, on the hour, for the time that I'm in ICU, I'm going to leave a lot better. And suddenly it distracts all the pain. It's painful to do it, but it was the smallest thing. And you know what? Every single day since then, I've woken up and I've asked myself, what's the one small thing that you can do today to get better? And I can guarantee you're all thinking now, there's one thing you can do today to get better. Don't worry about the 300 others. If you focus on one. Of course, going through my mind was, when am I going to walk again? And, you know, everyone's like, how long will it take? I don't know how long it's going to take. But yesterday, I couldn't do this. Look at me now. I can do it super fast. And that's something to celebrate. They transferred me. I insisted they transferred me to Dubai, which was one of the most painful 2 hours in the back of an ambulance. I was like, sweet, I'll be in the back of an ambulance, I'll be on a bed. Obviously, all those brakes would not feel the great road that runs from Sharjah to Calbo, which anyone that's been on it knows it's not a great road. Another day in intensive care, and then they transferred me to the main ward. And the physio came in, young guy, and he said, do you want to get out of bed? Dude, really? He goes, yeah. You can sit up, and then we'll go for a walk. It's like, this is it. This is the small thing today. This is the best day of my life. I was so pumped. I was like, yeah, let's do it. 10 minutes later, I'm sat on the side of the bed. Another 10 minutes later, I've actually made it from here to where Create Media, you should use these guys for your events, are, which was the bathroom. That's a story for another time. And then he says, let's go for a walk. And this showed me how we care way too much. The physio, I've got a pipe coming out of here for my lung because it's collapsed. So they put a pipe in, a drain to open it up. A bag full of blood. I couldn't move, so I've got a bag in my old man. And this guy just gets them both, clips one on his belt here, blood, one on his belt here, urine, and said, let's go for a walk, mate. And these pipes that are coming out of me, I'm like, are you for real? And we walk maybe to that wall and back. Gowns open at the back, blood this side, urine this side, and I'm just trying to move. And I was like, nothing really matters but what you're doing right now. That was another thing that I started to take with me. A final lesson from the hospital, an old client of ours, not in age, but in the time he's been here, came in one day. And I remember pretty much all of you coming to visit, and anyone that came to visit and sent me a message, thank you, because it helped incredibly. But this gentleman, I was on the bed here, he was here. And he said to me, my brother's had multiple accidents, and he's really suffering now. The best thing you can do is vocalize what's going on. I was like, dude, speak to my wife, I'm not good with emotions. And he said, just keep telling the story. I had visitors from 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. for 7 days. It was incredible. And I was able to tell that story over and over and over. And that helped a lot. I'm not one to open up a lot, but when I was able to people to come in and say, can I ask you some questions? I was like, yeah, I want to tell you. And it was like therapy. Because I was coming to terms with exactly what was happening. And the fact that, yes, I'd been hit by a truck, but there are no what ifs. and I could do small things every day. Not surprisingly, the guy that called me about the ultra cycling a few weeks before had sent me a route in Europe. Europe's hardest trail race. The length of Corsica. For some reason, when I was in the hospital bed, I got it up on my phone. I think only Rob knows this, but I then sent it to him and I said, get ready. And at that stage, that was me. I had an oxygen mask on to try and clear all this stuff that was on my lungs. But I needed this big goal. And as Rob does, he just says, yes, no problem. Heidi knows. That's why she's looking at me badly now. And I was like, as soon as you finish school, mate, in summer, we're going to go to Corsica and we're going to run across it. It's the hardest trail race that there is. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. I had a big goal and I had these small things that you have to do every day. And somehow something cool was happening. So I started training in the hospital. Training was walking with the physio. Training was lifting this hand. Your whole perspective on training starts to change. I was discharged from the hospital a week later. A week after that, I woke up at 5 a.m., said goodbye to Holly. She's like, where are you going? I said, I'm going to the gym. Yeah, right. I said, yeah, I'm going to the gym. Came in the gym. Tabata, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. Set up your phone, 100 rounds. 1 hour of Tabata. What can I do? Smallest mat we have. It's an inch high. Step up, step back. Smallest dumbbell we've got. Curls are important. Tried to get the dumbbell up. Could get it to about there. Good. Today I can get it to there. Tomorrow I'll get it there. And then by the end of the week I'll get it there. Every single day, just come and do small things. That's absolutely, to most people, mind-numbing. Who wants to now go and do 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off for 1 hour? Not many. And that's when people say to me, oh, your recovery was so fast. Shut up. My recovery was fast because I came every single day and did the smallest things. My recovery was fast because I listened to the physio and did what he said. My recovery was fast because I saw one more physio for 40 minutes after that. But I did everything they said. Isn't it counterintuitive? We go to a physio when we're sick and we sit there for an hour and they send us away with all these exercises and we do nothing. And then go back to the physio a week later and they say, how's your progress? Not real good. Of course it's not. Are you surprised? Lots of Tabata. The progress was super slow. It really was. It took weeks to be able to do anything. And literally, because my ribs were in a bit of a mess, it was like quarter squat. Cool, I can do this. And then a bit later, I could go down to like a half squat. And it took weeks and weeks and weeks. But I had Corsica in my mind. A few other things I had in my mind. I'd made a commitment to Volvic that in May I would run a marathon on the volcano. And I was like, I've made a commitment to these guys. I can't let them down. 3 weeks after I got back from hospital, I was like, Track Tuesday, let's go. Let's be in the environment. I went and I ran with the slowest group and they kicked my ass. And it hurt me a lot. Pain hurt my ego, of course, but it really hurt to run. But I didn't think it was doing any permanent damage. And I started with the slow group, and then I moved up, and then I moved up. And this is kind of a display of the progress that happened. In May, I ran a marathon in Volvic, 42k. I only fell over once in the last 1k. And only put my left hand out to help me, which hurt a lot. And then we went to test something else at Al Qudra. 50k bike ride starting at sunset, 50k run, 50k bike ride, as fast as we could, hopefully before it got light. I think we finished about an hour and a half before it got light. The usual suspects, this is Robert Jones. You can tell by his incredible quads. And Tom Walker, he's the white one, still quite white, been here 6 months. And it just sort of kept on going. we ran across Corsica. Rob takes great pictures. Take him everywhere with you. This is the route across Corsica, 195 kilometers, 13,000 meters elevation. I remember we were setting it up and we read one website, 9,000 meters. Cool. We want Everest. We want to go up Everest. Then you start to put it in the GPS. Oh, it's 12,000. Oh, that's cool. Okay, we can do 12,000. Then you finish and it's 13,000. That's the way it goes sometimes. This one hurt quite a lot. We rode across Wahiba Desert, and if I had a bit more time, I'd tell you about what's there, but that one was an interesting one as well. Why do I share those things? Because they're the big goals. They're what you need to make all the small things start to happen. And speaking of big goals, I actually thought that it was a conversation after we'd been in Wahiba. But I think it was a little bit before, because I remember when we were in Corsica, Rob and Sean, who I was running with, here's another thing. Hurls said it, Sean, I think about 5 hours into Corsica. He goes, you should only do this stuff with blokes that know when to shut up. He used other words, but you get the point. Because there's times where you don't really need to talk that much. And Corsica, the best memories of Corsica is about 5 hours going up 1 kilometer vertical in 2 kilometers distance. No one spoke for a long time. So when we got to Corsica, the guys were talking about UTMB, which they did this weekend. I'd love to talk about that. Go and check that race out. It was the wildest ultra I've ever seen. Again, started at 7:30 at night. Awesome. Finished 40 hours later for the guys. And they said, do you want to run it? I said, well, guys, I've actually had a different idea. And they're like, what? I said, I think I've got a challenge coming. And I was thinking about doing something in Dubai. And that's why I share these pictures. One in France, Corsica. This was Al Qudra. This is Oman. I thought to myself, we do a lot of these challenges. Wouldn't it be cool to do something locally, where we can activate the local people, where we can encourage the local people? We all live here. Let's try and do something locally. And about a week before Corsica, I sent one of my friends who's involved in Dubai tourism a message. I said, I've got an idea. I'm going to run for Dubai Fitness Challenge a marathon every day for 30 days. He sent me a simple message back. I'll get the team to make it happen. Oh, shit. Within like 30 seconds. And before I went to Corsica in July, one of the guys from Dubai Fitness Challenge called me up. He said, I hear you've got an idea. Can you tell me what it is? He was an English guy. And I can just imagine what was happening. I was like, yeah, buddy, I'm going to run a marathon a day for 30 days. Are you serious? He's like, no. Dubai Fitness Challenge is about getting sedentary people moving. It's the smallest step. The 30 minutes a day for 30 days. I was like, yeah, absolutely. I know exactly what it's about. I love small steps. I'm all in. Let's make it happen. He goes, it doesn't fit. I was like, no, it fits. I said, listen, you think about it. I'm coming back in 2 weeks and we'll have a meeting. Luckily in that 2 weeks, I don't know if anyone saw Ross Edgley swim around Great Britain, the Great British Swim. Watch it, it's insane. He'd seen that. And he sort of started, we had a meeting and he said, I get it. I said, I've also read this book by a guy called Dean Karnassus, which I suggest you read, 50 Marathons, 50 States, 50 Days, how he got the local community with him and how he got people to run with him in the different states. And I explained that to the guys at Dubai Tourism. And I said, schools. I said, communities. I said, people can run with me. And they're like, yeah. It's quite funny because the first meeting was just with one bloke, the guy I'd spoken to on the phone. The second meeting was with a few of the marketing people. And they're like, we've heard about what you want to do, but we don't really understand it. Can you explain it? So yeah, I want to run a marathon every day for 30 days. They're like, the 10K marathon. Few deep breaths. I'm like, no, the full marathon. Oh, so 30K for 30. Cool. You guys are all involved in this. Anyway, we got through that. And they're like, it would be a really good marketing story if you ran 30 kilometers a day for 30 days. I was like, yeah, it would be. But it'd be a better marketing story for you guys if I ran a marathon every day. And I came home, and I'd sort of discussed it with Holly, somehow. And I said to her, it's all good. We're on. She's like, how do you feel? I said, I feel good. But there's a lot of nervousness inside you. It's a new territory. How do you train for it? How are you going to be mentally able to cope with it? Emotions are going to be different. Again, some what-ifs come into your mind. And you go back to simplicity. What can I do right now? I've got a big piece of A1 paper, wrote why. Under it, the first thing that came into my mind, human potential. 2 branches off it, mine, theirs. Under that, learning experience. Under that, family, done. It was so clear. I was like, wow. It took literally 30 seconds of my time to write my why. I was like, I can do this. And then it's a roller coaster. It's the best roller coaster you've ever been on. I love the training. It's what makes me up in the morning. It's amazing to feel that you've got something that you're going to do. You're going to do it exactly as it's written. You're not going to shortcut anything. You're going to do what it says. You're going to rest when it says. You're going to run fast when it says. You're going to lift weights when it says. You're going to eat when it says. You're going to sleep when it says. It's the most amazing feeling in the world when Training Peaks turns green. It's the smallest things that really make a difference. I couldn't do it on my own. I spoke to Flanners. I said, mate, do you think I can do this? He was like, yeah. Sweet. Then I spoke to Tom. Mate, do you think I can do this? Yeah. Good. That's 2 votes. Holly was, I think, a little bit, like, she knew I could do it, but she was just worried about me. And I think after what happened in February and what she went through, I think she had every reason to be worried. So I tried to manage that one whilst making the program with Tom. First session, I'm on the treadmill downstairs, 2 hours. Tom's here on a bike. We're just discussing how the program's going to go. He said, just keep running, mate. We'll talk about it. And we identify all the different things and put a program together. 3 weeks out, I'm running at the track. Incredible pain in my knee. Like someone's putting a knife through my knee. What do you do? 3 weeks. I've been training since, it was confirmed mid-August, so I had like 8 weeks to train. Good Dubai things is that they delayed the whole initiative for a week. Mum's like, oh, why do they do this? This is so bad. I'm like, Mum, it's going to be a week cooler. I get a week more time to chill. I get a week more time to get my body ready. It's the best thing that ever happened. And I stopped running 3 weeks before. And I was like, try and make it better every day. What can I do today? Same thing over and over until 5 days out, I could run. And I said to Tom, I said, mate, worst case scenario, the first week is like building some aerobic fitness. Let's call it that. It's a little building block. I mobilized another mentor of mine, and I spoke to him about how to manage the 30 days. And he lives in the States, through about a 60-minute phone call, we came up with what you might have seen on my Instagram, a hashtag, 1 marathon 30 times. You're only running 1 marathon. Tomorrow, you only have to do what's in Training Peaks. It doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. And that's what I took every single day leading into it, and every single day during the challenge, is that you just have to do one thing, and that's run a marathon today. That's all you have to do. The first few days were with Rob. Obviously, he ran the first one with me, and we invented the crop top, which is a whole other story. And the first 3 days were incredibly hard. My legs hurt. I didn't feel like I was recovering very well. We got to day 5, and it was Track Tuesday. And I said to myself, it's going to get busy later. I'm going to have schools. This is your one opportunity to run 105 laps of a 400-meter track. These opportunities don't come around very often. I'm going to take it. So anytime you get that opportunity, one of my friends in Australia calls it the 105 by 400 diet. Get on the diet. Rob was there, of course, 5 to 5. After about 2.5 hours, I had the most excruciating pain just at the bottom of my right hamstring. Day 5. 25 days to go. Literally, my running technique changed. What's going on? Why, 2 days later, did I have zero pain in my hamstring? It was literally like I'd torn it. In my opinion, the choice was removed. I didn't have any choice but to keep running. I'd made a choice to start, and I'd made a commitment to finish. And when you remove the choice, you can only do one thing. So stop spoiling yourselves with so many choices. That's why you shouldn't eat at buffets. A lot of people ask me, when did it get hard? It got hard every single day. It was always easy to wake up because there was no choice. And I only used an alarm 5 days out of the 30. I was awake before pretty much every single day. It got hard in stages. And this is the most amazing thing about everything we do. In stages, life's quite hard. In stages, running's quite hard. In stages, any form of fitness is quite hard. Bringing up kids is quite hard. But again, if you remove the choice, you keep going. One of the things that I was able to do, and I did learn this more from my accident, is create a lot more presence. A lot of people ask me, what do you do when it gets hard? What do you do when there's a voice in your head? There isn't a voice in your head. It's your voice. You control it. And instead of trying to fight, everyone tries to fight. I can do this, I can do this. I said to myself, no. I'm going to remove everything from my head. Because I knew, because I got to a school one day and one of the kids is like, oh, dude, you've got a Garmin. My dad's got one of those. It's like, yeah, buddy. I go, how many steps have you done? How many steps does your dad normally do? He's like, 8,000. I said, do you know how many's on here today? Wow, how many? 45,000. I said, but you know the coolest thing? Is that if you can take one step, all you have to do is repeat that 45,000 times. And that was in my mind a lot. When it was tough, I'd clear everything. And I knew that it was 45,000 steps. I'd just keep on doing another one, and another one, and another one. And if you keep doing another one, and you remove everything from your mind, and all of the stuff that you've convinced yourself with, and all of the distractions, nothing else matters. You can keep moving forward. And then you get to the end, and that day finishes. And you go through, had a big recovery protocol, food, and then you go to bed, and you wake up, and you think about the next day. People said to me, you've done 15. And? You're halfway there. Dude, put that in real context. I've still got 15 to go. I only have to think about tomorrow. Otherwise, your brain can't digest it. It's a chunk that's too big. People ask me a lot about surprises. What surprised you the most? Hands down, I'm surprised how many people are here today. Thank you very much. And hands down, I was surprised. Over 400 people ran with me over the 30 days. Close to 50 did a marathon. And close to 20 did a marathon for the first time. Of which one of those guys did 3 marathons in that month. And there's a guy sat here today that did close to 300 kilometers with me. The support was mind-blowing. And that motivated me a lot as well. The fact that I knew I had to get to schools. The fact that I knew I had to be at the flagpole. And people were saying to me the day after, the flagpole misses you. I missed the flagpole. I drove past it last night as well. When it got close to the end, people started to ask me, what are you going to do next? I was like, no, you don't understand. What are you going to do on the 31st day? It's irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. What I'm going to do now matters. And that now, on Thursday, which goes a little bit against it, but I sent a message to Tom. I'd run 408, 409, 408 the first 3 days, and then we said let's back off a little bit to help the recovery. So average time over the month was 4:15. And I sent Tom a message. I said, we'll relax tomorrow, Friday, we'll just do a 4:15. Saturday, I want sub 4. I'm not running 30 marathons and not going under 4 hours. I then sent a message to Lee and Rob and said, I need you. Can you be free for me on Saturday? Tom sent me back a big list of what we have to do. So I did everything. Wake up this time. I rewrote it so that I could read it in my bad handwriting. Wake up, swim, eat, stretch, sleep. To the T. We practiced it on Friday. I even made the route on Friday the same finishing route we're going to use on Saturday. Lee started with me, 20k. That was his job. We needed 5:45 a k average by the time we met Rob at about 21k on the bridge by Alcal Road. We're on 5:35. We wanted to run a negative split, faster in the second half than we did in the first half. I apologize to everyone that turned up on that Saturday that thought we were running at 6:10. I felt bad. I still do. But we had a plan. Rob was obviously early. 3k early. Super fired up. Into Nadal Shiva, around the track. We dropped it 5:20. Lee's in charge still. Incredible job. Slowly, guys. Pull back. We need 5:30. 5:30. 5:30. Tom was meeting us with 11k to go. Legs were good. How is it? The pain I was in for the second half. Voltaren started, you'll ask this, so Voltaren started at day 11 with 1. By day 22, it was up to 2. And after day 25, it was 3 a day. It was excruciating. I tried to kid myself some days by only taking a Voltaren halfway through the run. I don't know why. I just started taking it as soon as I woke up. How are we running at this pace? 4:15 average time is just over 6 minutes a k. We're running sub 5:30. Why? How can the body do it? It's irrelevant. Focus now. 11k to go. 5:20. 7k to go. More people join. Think it's going to be a little bit of a jolly. 5:15. See you later. Keep running. Jump over the bridge. Pull it down, Lee says. No. It's okay. 5:10. He calls it every k. 5:10. 5:10. 4k to go. Enough, Lee. Hop over the bridge. 3k to go. I think we're at about 4:30 a k. How is this happening? Look down at my watch. I said to Tom, I said, mate, I think we can do 3:45. He goes, you want 3:45? I'm like, no, mate, I don't want 3:45 pace yet. I said, I think we can finish in 3:45. He was like, geez, thanks. He's got Instagram Live and he's trying to run 3:45. We had a good conversation. Still, I think we're just 4:15, 4:20 pace. Steve Prefontaine, one of the most amazing runners ever. The best pace is suicide pace, and today's a good day to die. And you can actually hear it on the Instagram Live feed. And I think that was at about 2.5k. We did the last 3K just under 4 minutes a K, about 350, 355. And then for the last K, I think we were about 330 pace. We finished at 346. I would say I was disappointed that we didn't do 345, but I think that would have taken 345 pace when we did it. It was incredible. It's difficult to explain how I felt right there. I actually believe I could have run another 5K. All I thought about in that run was that run. All I listened for was Lee's pace. Till the last few K, Rob, Tom took over. You create space, you can literally do anything. I could have kept going as long as you want. That end was incredible. Everything you've worked for, all the training, all the mornings, and everything, all those smallest things become worth it. Burj Khalifa is nothing, honestly. It was cool. Thanks to Dubai Tourism, it was cool. But what was the best was just seeing the culmination of all of those things come together. Because I know, and I knew from the start, if I did all of those small things, that would happen. When they spoke at the start about how it was going to be at the end and I was going to do these night runs, I was obviously excited because I knew if we did everything along the way, then we get to the end. So what did I learn? We'll do some Q&A in a second. I'll make it super simple. They're pretty much written on that board over there. Hard work, keep things simple, and stay honest. If you do that, you can do anything. The human body is incredible. It's made me more interested now than ever before. I don't know anything. You guys might know. I don't know anything. I don't have an answer for the hamstring. I don't have an answer to why we could run 346. I'm looking for those answers. Another thing that I realized is that you get more things done by doing it. You get less done by sitting around making excuses. Don't make excuses. Say yes, say no. You don't have to justify what you're doing to anyone. If you can, you can. If not, don't. When you remove all of those choices, when you remove the excuses, when you remove the distractions, you can literally do anything. So, to make it happen, you have to start. So start. Walk out of here today, do one thing. And then tomorrow do another thing. And keep on doing those small things all the time. And genuinely, you can do some pretty amazing things. These things don't happen without people. Thank you, Mum, Dad, and Holly. Thank you, everybody. I think we're going to have some questions. We got some time. Questions? No. Go.
First of all, awesome effort. It was amazing to see you do that. My question is, how many hours a day were you sleeping?
Yep. Good question. Sleep was one of the biggest challenges. I was in bed every night by 7:30, trying to wake up by 4:30, so I get about 8 to 9 hours a night. Normally that's not a problem. When you're in this state, it's carnage. You woke up 3 in the morning. So although I was in bed for 8 or 9 hours, if I slept 6.5 hours a night, I think I would be lucky. But sleep was like, I sometimes had to sleep in the day as well, but not as often as I thought. Yeah. Yeah.
And you were like so excited with it. But how did you change it? Like most people are like, oh my god, it's so boring to do this.
Yeah. 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 The question here is like, small things are quite boring. Like Tabata intervals every day for 3 weeks, 100 rounds is pretty damn boring. Reaching the finish line is the sexy bit. The rest of it is quite boring. You have to work damn hard. You're not going to do cool stuff by not doing the boring stuff over and over. And that's really my point. Too many people, they want to run a marathon or they want to do an Ironman or they want to go to the CrossFit Games, and you sit down and say, like, this is what the training looks like. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's boring. Like, a back squat's a back squat. Running's running. We can make it as interesting as possible with all these different exercises, but at the end of the day, you get better through repetition. And I think that's what's holding a lot of people back. The sexy bit is finishing and telling the story. The boring bit is every day. Like, I go to bed at 8 o'clock at night.
How do you endure the pain?
Yeah. How do you endure the pain? The pain is part of the process. It's hard to explain. Matt's here. I ran with him one day, and the pain was excruciating. I had a problem that the hamstring problem had come up to my hip, and it was just awful. That day, he cleared everything out again. And I had 400 kids at my old school. So I focused a little bit on that. There isn't a choice to stop. There isn't a choice to stop. I'd had a conversation with Holly, and I'd said, I won't do myself any permanent damage. That was the rules of the game. She said, you do it, I don't want you to hurt yourself permanently. So as long as I wasn't doing any permanent damage, which is yet to be proven, I kept on going. And I think that's the thing. The pain is part of the process. The boredom is part of the process. Like, you have to keep pushing. I don't know how painful it was, because we all feel pain in a very different way. And, there's a tough guy over here and tough girl over here. Like, I don't know. I don't know who feels pain the most, but it's excruciating. But also at times, it's just incredible. Especially with running, you enter this ultimate state of flow, and you can just keep going forever. And that's what really maybe we're searching for.
Thank you for sharing your story. I can see it's still quite painful when you talk about your accident. And I truly think that, when you hit rock bottom, it's like really humbling. So what did you learn from kind of hitting rock bottom?
Yeah, it's painful to talk about my accident. I have a strange theory about death, like it's part of life, but I wasn't ready to die. And I don't think I was at rock bottom. I think this year has been the best year of my life. That accident was... the day before I had my accident, I posted a quote on my Instagram. You can go there. 9th of February, everything happens for a reason. And I truly believe that. It's not rock bottom, it's a challenge. And it's the same in marathon running. You're up, you're here, and you're super low. It's the low times we learn stuff. And it's the good times that we get to put those things into practice and really test out what we've learned. Someone asked me on Instagram the other day, do I think I did this challenge because I had my accident? Well, the answer is yes, because otherwise I'd be off doing these ultra cycling races. Did I learn stuff during my accident? Yes. And that's why my motivation for doing anything is to learn. We know nothing. We learn along the way. It's very humbling when you just can't move and you're moving your hand like this. But you start to learn from it, and you take those lessons and you try to make your life better and hopefully make other people's lives better. But yeah, the question there is, in a post I said, you should be a little bit more primal. I think there's a lot of distractions. I think we care way too much about what other people think. And I think a lot of the time we need to strip things down as basic as we can. Because I was stripped down that basic. I was walking through the hospital, 2 pipes coming out with me, one of urine, one of blood, my butt hanging out, cuts everywhere. And it was the best thing I could do that day. I'm stripped down. My mum fed me in intensive care. It's like we care too much and we think too much and we're looking for people to validate what we're doing. The only person that has to validate what I'm doing is Holly. Everyone else, have a nice day. I'm going to do it. She's in, I get her support, somehow sell it to mum and dad, have a nice day. So I think sometimes just don't care so much. If you want to do something, go and do it. The world will keep happening. I was speaking about it this morning with Lee and Sarah. They're like, how's it been since? Well, I came to work on Monday morning. Like, the world keeps going. So why do you care so much? Just get things as simple as you can. Yeah. How many pairs of shoes do you have? So here's a plug for Brian. I use On Running shoes, and the guys were awesome. I have this uncanny knack of ripping them at the back. And after about 300 Ks, they started to split at the back. I used 2 pairs of shoes on a rotation, and they had to replace them twice. So they wear out 300 K. Yeah. Yep. Nutrition? Yeah. Yeah, right. This is another thing that goes back to a little bit more primal. Keto diet, vegan, vegetarian, how many macros, I don't give a shit. I ate Holly's food every day for 30 days. When I was hungry, I ate food. When I wasn't hungry, I didn't eat food. Like, hello? Is this what happened 6 years ago before this bullshit came around? Like, we just ate how we think we should eat. Don't eat processed food. And just eat food. We're also hung up on like how much and this and that. Like, you know when you're eating too much because you look in the mirror and you're fat. Like, why do you need a calculator to tell you? If you're an elite level athlete and your training is such that it's fueled by food and blah, 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 I get it. But you're going to work, you're having kids, you're coming to an hour of CrossFit a day. If you eat in a certain way that you look in the mirror and you go, yes, this is it. That's pretty much what I did. I weighed myself once a week. I didn't lose any weight until last week. Life's good. Like, hopefully that answers the question and a load of other questions about nutrition. So the question is my diet 0 processed sugar? No. The second Sunday of the marathons, at 5 p.m., I walked into Spinney's in Jumeirah. I looked at the bakery, and there was fresh croissants. I bought 2. And I ate them in the car park. I didn't get the chocolate one because I didn't want too much sugar. No. And, you know, this is the funny thing. If you work hard enough, have an ice cream. Didn't eat ice cream the whole month. Don't really eat ice cream. But I tried to stay away from it. Processed sugar. Again, it's not rocket science. Any more? 1 or 2 more and then I'll let you go. Yeah, the question there is, what does show no weakness mean? It means kind of what I've been saying. It means stop making excuses. It means stop saying things to validate your own insecurities. It means just going out and doing it. Why did 20 people complete their first marathon with me? Why did over 40 people complete a whole marathon? Why did 400 run? Because they chose to get up and just do it. They didn't think too much, they just cracked on. It got hard for everyone. It got hard for me. Sometimes the people running with me were just talking fresh and I'm just in hell. If they can be okay, I can be okay. And we just keep moving forward. So it's not about saying that pain doesn't happen. It's not about saying that it wasn't hard. But it's about not continually saying, it's super hard, I'm super in pain. Embrace it. If you want to achieve cool stuff, it's going to be hard, you're going to be in pain. I'll tell you right now. And if you don't want to achieve cool stuff, because if you don't like those two things, you won't achieve cool stuff. It's that simple. Maybe one more? No? Good. It's 9:05. Thank you again, everybody. Awesome. I really appreciate it.